darkness and tried to swallow me. Some days I fall, but I hear your call. I pray I don't hit the ground. Gravity.
Hello everybody, this is HerobrineSings, and I'm going to make this as quick as possible because this was supposed to be done in video and I completely forgot to do that during the stream. So, needless to say, thank you guys for watching this video. This video was meant to get out a lot sooner, but I decided to make it the big bang of the end of the year type thing because, well, I was going to do a Q&A, but nobody was really asking questions or anything, so I said, fuck it, I'm going to just go ahead and make this interview the last video of the year. Now, I will state that the first person in the video is somebody who's close to me. They volunteered for this, and they were with me through the entire video, and I do appreciate that so much. Everybody else was completely random and strangers that I've never met before. There's one interview that happened about halfway through that was just a bunch of trolls and stuff. That'll be at the end. So, yeah, if you don't want to watch that, there'll be like a little warning. They said a lot of not okay things, and I debated on putting it in here. It's going to be heavily edited and very short. But nonetheless, I hope you guys enjoy this because this is going to be what you'll be seeing in the upcoming year. A little bit more frequently, a little bit more heavily edited, so it's not as long, and a little bit shorter. I want to try to keep these videos at under 2 hours, maybe an hour. I know interviewing a lot of people, it kind of makes it hard to do that. But I also want to try to get more people into these videos and ask questions and whatnot. But each section will be a full interview of that person. I debated going question to question, but figured just doing that person's whole interview and trimming it down was just better and easier to edit out. So that's how I'm going to do it. This could change in the future, obviously, but that's how this one's going to go. But again, I hope this is something you guys enjoy. I am part of the furry fandom myself, so this hit really close to home, and I hope this will help you understand the furry community a little better, not just from my perspective, but from other people who are in the fandom and also not in the fandom. There will be images and other stuff that are in the video to kind of help further explain stuff. You might see random pop-ups during certain discussions so you know what's going on. So yeah, just pause if you need to read anything or whatever you need to do. And thank you all so much for watching. There'll be a little other extra thing of me talking at the end. Just pretty much announcing what the next interview thing will be. And if you guys want to watch it or participate, do so. The Discord has a section for that, and I'll get further into that at the end of the video rather than now. So anyway, thanks so much for clicking this video and deciding to watch. Love y'all. You'll see me again at the end of the video. So this is my VR brother. They are our first interviewee. What? You good?
Sorry, my cat.
Oh, okay. I thought it was me for a second. I was like, huh? But no.
No, my cat was tweaking.
Oh, okay. Got the zoomies.
Yeah.
Alright. But anyway, they're gonna be our first interviewee. I will have 2 more from the Discord who's supposed to be here at some point. Phoenix here is also gonna be a part of a good chunk of the stream, if not the entire thing. At some point my headset may die. So just a heads up on that. If that happens, I'm gonna be turning desktop and you're just gonna see people and then my PNG at any given point. So just fair warning, especially for when the video does come out. Anyway, we're gonna start asking, just base questions. We're gonna start off with some simple questions and then move on from there. There is some statistical questions and whatnot, and obviously, abide by Twitch guidelines. Go into detail of things, but not like too much. So
right.
Let's see. Let me grab my phone here because this is a lot easier because I can see through the crack of my headset. So first and foremost, I have this for everybody, even for the strangers, but so how old are you?
I am 25 years old.
Okay. You know what? I'm just gonna have my arm dangle right there. You know what? I'm gonna just take the disc controller off. So that way it's not just dangling there and it looks weird. Give me little raptor
Fair.
arms. What led you to become a furry, and how long have you been a furry?
So I joined the fandom back when I was around 12 years old, and it was because of a video I saw on YouTube of Telephone, the Dutch angel dragon. The video I happened to see was her throwing a fishing rod into a lake. And I'm like, this creature is super cute, and I felt a connection.
Okay. Do you have a fursona, and if so, what species is your fursona?
So I have a couple. My three main sonas, my first one, the main one that I use quite frequently now, is a winged saber named Feng, which is ironically the Chinese word for phoenix. And he's a very pretty tealish turquoise and red, and he's got the cutest little chibi wings. My second one is a pony sona named Silver. He's an adult blank flank, and he's proud that he's a blank flank. And my third one, who I've had for the longest, is Meebo, and he is a Manx cat.
Okay.
And then I will say that, so for my Twitch account, I do use a fursona, but it is my deceased brother's fursona, and I use it in honor of him. And it is a blue snow leopard that kind of looks like this.
Okay. Gotcha. It is pretty common that a lot of furries will have like remembrance fursonas and stuff like that. I've heard numerous furries do that, which I think is honestly pretty sweet that people do that, because it's like a part of them that'll never, disappear of them.
Yeah, my brother meant the absolute world. Even though he wasn't like related, he wasn't like a real brother, he was the only one who was really there for me growing up, so...
Yeah. So, did you know that according to 4 different surveys, 14 to 25% of the fandom members of the furry community report that they're either homosexual, 37 to 52% report bisexuality, 28 to 51% are heterosexual, and 3 to 8 tend to report forms of alternate sexual relationships of some kind. Which is quite a lot of numbers if you ask me. So, with this in mind, furries are obviously very typically LGBTQ+ in some way. Are you LGBTQ+ yourself?
Yes, I am gender non-conforming. It is under the non-binary umbrella. It's more of an appearance type identification more than anything else. And so I was born female, but I dress usually more masculinely, and I identify as male.
Yes.
And I am gay.
Okay. Which I do find interesting that most furries do tend to be one or the other. I very rarely meet straight furries, I will say. So, ooh, hello? Arm? Anyway.
I have also noticed, which something I really like about the fandom is that a lot of us are also neurodivergent. So there's, a lot of us either, have ADHD or some kind of autism on that spectrum. And honestly, I think with people like that, when we're able to find this as some kind of thing we can relate to, I think it feels more special and close to the heart.
It definitely does,
because with how hard conditions like this can be on a person, I feel like the fandom is a way to help people with these, I call them different abilities. I think it helps us to understand more how we work, it helps us branch out, and honestly, the fandom is just a good way for, us to meet others like ourselves.
Yeah. Which, it is a good thing. I do believe I have some sort of disabilities of my own that I've yet to really get diagnosed yet, but my husband says that I have ADHD because he has it, severely, and he just tells me that I have it. I have best friends who have told me I had it. It's like, I don't know, maybe I do, maybe I don't. maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm just quirky. We don't know.
Yeah, I have very severe ADHD, and honestly, with my ADHD, being able to be a part of the furry fandom, it's honestly been able to help me come out of my shell, because ADHD usually makes people look at me in the wrong light, or makes me feel really bad about myself. But being part of the furry fandom and having ADHD, I've been able to feel more open and welcome with people.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So, with the furry fandom, are you active in it, like an active participant, or are you more of a, you're just a casual enjoyer, but you don't really consider yourself part of the fandom?
So, the way I consider it, I consider myself a 50% furry. So, there are a lot of aspects that I really enjoy, but I don't let it take up a majority of my life like I know some members of the fandom do. I am currently admin for 2 local groups in my state. One is for one up in the mountains, and one is for local in my town. So I'm admin and I take part in a bunch of that. I'm actually this Sunday hosting a January movie night at my place for this month's meetup.
Okay. That's pretty cool. Obviously, we're not going to go into like specific locations because this is the internet and people
Right.
will find out.
Right. Yeah.
So that is as vague as we're going to get with that, and as much detail as we get.
And I do make fursuits, and I do art, obviously. So
Yeah. Which is involved in one of the questions later, so we can get more into that a little bit here soon.
okay.
Actually, ironically, it was the next question, I believe. Yeah. Furries are usually very creative individuals. Are you a creative mind? And if so, what is it that you yourself create? Which you said you make fursuits.
And I do art.
And art, okay. And this can also be VR related as well, by the way. Because I know you do some avatar work.
Yeah, I do a little bit. I've been dabbling in it. I am currently trying to save up because I actually want to make a bunch of parts, buy a bunch of parts, all of this. And I would like to create an avatar for my species that I have created.
Okay. Which...
I would love to see my species OC as an avatar. I think he would look really cool.
And with that in mind, would you ever consider, like, are you dabbling in Blender and trying to make a base for it of your own, or?
I think for starting off, I'm going to make Kit Bash and just buy parts.
Okay. Which would
And
involve
just
a lot
see
of...
from there how it goes.
Wouldn't that also involve a lot of re-rigging and stuff as well? Because I know some people have to do that with certain parts.
I believe so, because my species is kind of a chimera type thing, so it would be, you know, different animals, and I would have to find parts that would really work for it.
Okay. I know with some kit bashes, if people like it, you could also do commissions of said kit bash if it's allowed by the creators of the parts that you use. Or, you know, you could take personal commissions only of it, to where they don't get the files, but you can upload that stuff for them and stuff. I know some people do that as well.
Yeah, especially with my species only being semi-open, because I don't want it to become, like, a huge species, so it's mostly just for myself and close friends.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, I'm pretty sure at some point people will make characters of it once I release my book, because the species is in the book that I'm writing.
Okay. Alright, that makes sense.
But as of right now, the species is only semi-open.
Alright. That is understandable since you just I would assume recently created it and have been working on it and being involved in a book,
Well,
that would make sense.
I originally wrote the book back in middle school, and I have just now found it and been redoing, like, everything up, putting it on my computer and stuff. So, it's somewhat new, but it's somewhat old.
Okay. It's an old concept being revised, basically.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Well, I'm sure a lot of people will be very interested to read that when they're able to, of course. one other thing that is in here is obviously with you doing avatars and art and stuff. One of my questions is, are you open for commissions?
So currently I am open for pay what you want headshot commissions, and my fursuit commissions will not be open until January.
Okay. As a furry, with this statement, and this is, how does it make you feel? So, statistically speaking, most avatar and world creators are furries. So, with that in mind, how does that make you feel as a furry?
Honestly, I don't really know how it makes me feel, but I do appreciate that they are able to express their creativity.
Yeah, and I know that some people are very toxic about it. In this game especially, that, you know, there's a lot of furry haters that do run around worlds, and it's so funny when you're like,
Yeah.
you look them dead in the eyes and you're like, you do realize this world is made by a furry, right? And they just go dead silent. And it's funny because being an asset creator and stuff, I also meet a lot of creators too, and it's funny how many human creators are also furries, and I get to tell people that. I'm like, you know, the person who made that avatar is a furry. And it's just, it's
The
hilarious.
funniest thing though
Mhm.
was there was literally, I came to a public instance of this world because one of my buddies was hanging out here,
Jaws left. Oops.
and
Mhm.
there was someone in here and they were just trash talking furries. And I mentioned to my friend, I wonder how they'll feel if they find out my sister is a furry.
Oh.
And then they're like, my friend was like, oh yeah, this is your sister's world, isn't it? And I'm like, yep. And this dude, his mouth just shut up so fast, and he turned, looked at us, and he left the world.
Was it this world specifically?
It was this one, yeah.
Oh, wow. I mean, how did he not know? I mean, like hold on, let me, like, this photo right here. Hold on, let me show the world.
Yeah, it's literally
Furry.
a picture of me and then you and your mama Jen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my Luna Mama Gen. Yeah, that is wild. Like, you can, hold on, let me see if I can get a little better look. Yeah, right there. Literally furry. This entire world is plastered with furry avatars.
The only thing I can think of, he joined off a friend and just didn't pay attention to, like, the world or something. That's the only thing I could think of.
That would be the only thing I could think of too, is that dude was not paying attention. Actually, this is another avatar question. So you know, Nico or Neko avatars, you know, they're usually cat-based, but they can also be puppies and kangaroos and all sorts of different shit. So, do you feel those count as furry avatars, or do you think they're on the border of it, but not quite?
Honestly, I think they're their own separate thing. Just like you have human avatars, you have furry avatars, and I believe avies that have, like, animal ears and, like, tails and stuff, I believe they're just their own spectrum altogether.
Okay. And you know, I am a furry, but I do have avatars like that, but that's more so to be like, hey, I'm a
Yes.
furry in my way, but that may not be the same for everybody.
Yeah, I honestly believe, like, it's its own separate spectrum just due to the fact that, while yes, it is human, but it does have animal attributes, so I just honestly believe it's its own separate, just altogether.
Yeah, it's kind of like a hybrid of sorts, but it's still human enough.
Yes.
Yeah, that is fair.
But at the same time, it's not human, but it's not full animal either, so it's not full furry, it's not full human. It's honestly just its own thing.
Yeah. Now we're gonna go get into some of the more, like, outside of VR stuff a little bit here as well. So, do you
Alright.
own a fursuit outside of virtual reality?
I do. I own a head, I own some paws, I own a few tails, and I am currently working on a pair of digipaws.
Okay. I've always preferred digigrade suits, by the way. Always loved them, because I like the way the legs look, and I want to get a full body eventually someday, because I do
Yeah.
have
See,
my head back there, but he needs repairs. His teeth are falling
Yeah.
out, so...
I could fix it for you if you want.
It's okay. He's a skull dog
I would-
resin base, so it's a little harder to fix. I'm gonna
Yeah, you'd have to be really careful with that, yeah.
yeah, one of his main like bottom canines broke off. I had to hot glue it into place, but I like smoothed it out, so it's hard to tell unless you're like super up close. So
Yeah.
which I'll have to do with the other teeth as well. That's just how the skull dog resin bases work from the place I got it from. I'm not gonna name names because some people it might deter them from buying it. It's a great base. He's lasted me like 5 years before he started breaking.
Yeah.
So absolutely
geez,
wonderful
yeah.
base.
Yeah.
But just need some fixes. It's okay though. I could always like also use clay or some shit. Like a hodgepodge or something. I don't know. If it gets to that
Something
point.
like that, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, continuing on. With that in mind, have you attended any furry conventions, or have you not, and you would like to someday? And if so, which ones would those be?
So I've been to regular conventions. They haven't been furry conventions, but I honestly really would love to go to a furry convention. Honestly, my first convention obviously would have to be the one here in my state because, yeah.
Yeah.
It's obviously the closest, and honestly, I believe from what I've heard is it's either in the top 2 or the top, like, 3 or 4 largest conventions in America.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And honestly, the reason I'd like to go there is because I heard that a few furry creators on like TikTok and stuff that I actually enjoy attend these, and honestly, I would really love to meet them and get to know them. You know, hang out, chat, get to know people. You know, see why they joined the fandom. You know, have fun.
Yeah. And that's understandable. That's completely fair. I mean, I've never been to furry conventions either. I've always went to in-state conventions. I've never went to an out-of-state one. I did almost once when I was with an ex of mine, but it was around COVID season and it got canceled because of COVID, unfortunately. But it made me sad because Naruto's voice actor was there and I was gonna meet her, and I'm really upset about that. I could have met the voice actor of like the anime I literally grew up with, but thanks,
awesome.
COVID.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
So the convention, the local convention in my town, like the anime convention, last year, well, not last year, but during COVID, I literally would have gotten the chance to have met William Shatner.
Oh shit. That's awesome, honestly.
Because of COVID, obviously couldn't do it.
Yeah. I will say I have met a good few VAs. I actually met the voice of Haku from Spirited Away. He was also the voice of Boone. And most popularly known as a specific black cat in a very classic Halloween movie from Disney.
Binks.
He played Binks. I got to meet him, and he was such a sweetheart. He was so nice.
I think the one person I met that I really enjoyed meeting, he's not really a voice actor, but he worked on one of my all-time favorite movies. If you know a movie called The Road to El Dorado.
Oh, yeah.
So this guy, he helped with like the animation and like the stuff for it, but his name was Thomas Estrada, and I actually got him to sign my DVD copy of The Road to El Dorado.
Oh, okay. So was he like, he was in the art department. It sounded like, the way you described it, it sounded like maybe he was like the storyboard or something like that. Like, it was something along the lines. I'd have to do some research on that, but that does sound familiar. That name sounds super familiar.
Yeah, but I honestly really enjoyed meeting him. It was honestly really special.
Absolutely. I'll probably get into more of people I've met later down the line when I ask people this question, because there's a lot of people I have met at conventions.
Yeah.
So, but I don't want to link that out. So,
Yeah, there's a lot I've met too, but he was probably my favorite.
Oh, that's fair. That is 100% fair. Let's see. So, this is also convention related. So, there's obviously furry virtual conventions. Has there any that you have attended, like Furality or any other conventions that are virtual?
I've unfortunately not been able to attend any virtual furry conventions, but I really would love to.
Okay. As you know, I did have a booth in the previous Furality, which was super cool. I'm hoping maybe I'll get it again the upcoming year, but I'm gonna try to go as that time, so.
I know you invited me. I know you did invite me to come see your booth, but I was busy and unfortunately I couldn't leave, so.
Yeah, I think that was around the time the booth was open to the public for like a week when I invited you. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was with my ex-partners at the time though, so.
Yeah. That is understandable. I mean, I still have memories of the booth. I still have my old booth thing as well. So, who knows?
But honestly, if I got the chance to go, I would honestly really love to. I've been hearing about Furality for so long, and honestly, it's definitely something I would love to attend and see how it's run.
I mean, I love it. Honestly, the rave and dance thing was honestly my favorite thing, just because you can just go there and vibe. Like, they play so many different types of music, and some of the music types you've probably never heard of, but they are just fun as hell. And the work that goes into those worlds is some of the top class shit I have ever seen. They had full functioning lights and everything.
See, I've seen like the open public worlds that they have for Furality, like the entrance thing that they have, like that shows the theme and stuff. And there's a lot of detail in that. They are always so beautiful and just they're so visually appealing.
They really are, and they all work with Quest, and that's absolutely hard to do because Quest for Worlds, you have a 100 megabyte upload limit. But for PC, it's boundless, so they can do whatever they want. But they work super hard to make it function with Quest as similar to the PC version as possible, which I absolutely love that they do.
Very well detailed too. They're very well detailed.
Oh, 100%. Of course, that does not go to say that the worlds don't have issues when the convention goes on. People run into issues, but they are super quick to fix it, which is awesome. They work hard at what they do, and honestly, even if you're not a furry, I would recommend attending Furality and getting a look at what it's like. It's just that good. So we're gonna dive into a little bit of the more scandalous and drama-y stuff. It's not anything super specific aside from one topic, but as you know, this year in particular has been a mess for furries. And there's just been a lot of drama lately, and I'm sure you've seen that.
I mean, you and I had to deal with a guy.
Quite literally. But in this case, what drama have you heard or seen, or do you just try to avoid the drama?
I mean, as much as I try to avoid the drama, I still somehow end up part of it.
It finds us sometimes.
I think really the biggest drama that I really know, obviously all of the stuff with, Bad Dragon and how they're actually bad, like the creator and the owner, all that. Obviously all the...
I will say for everybody out there, that is an adult store. If you are not an adult, do not look it up. I'm not responsible if you do. Just saying.
Yeah. Yeah, no, please do not look it up. It's an 18+ thing. Please be very careful.
There's just a warning for all my underage viewers, because I know there's probably some, even though this stream is marked 18+, but YouTube, I cannot fucking control that. So if you're a minor, don't look it up. If you do and your parents get mad, I am not responsible for that. I'm not responsible.
No.
Anyway,
so
continue.
obviously all the stuff, behind the scenes of Bad Dragon,
yeah.
obviously, I'm pretty sure half the fandom has heard of Hypnotist Sappho and their drama.
Which was a large
And I
portion of
think-
issues for the fandom, which we will dive into that in a little bit, actually.
And I honestly think the biggest bit of drama that I've had to deal with recently with the furry fandom, I found out that one of my favorite furry creators, I used to look up to them, I used to admire them a lot, and I found out that they themselves they're just full of drama, they're a bigoted racist, a lot of stuff like that, and I'm like,
Oh my.
here the furry fandom is supposed to be fun. They exude this, persona when they're filming that makes them look sweet and innocent and happy. But then apparently behind the scenes with them, they're not a good person. And honestly, it's like, why does the furry fandom have to have people like this? Like, I get that it should be open to everybody, but I really don't think it should be open to everybody if they're going to be, this way, have this kind of behavior,
And it's funny because I actually had an incident of that fairly recently as well. I don't know if I should be specific on who it was, but if I am, it's going to be cut from the video, obviously, because I don't want to start anything. But
yeah, I mean, I would say who it is too, but like I said, I don't want to start anything either.
yeah.
So
one other
Yeah.
thing that is a hot topic with furries, and a lot of VR furries deal with this at the moment. So, obviously, me and you both have heard of zoophilia and bestiality.
yes.
And it's unfortunate, a very big issue within the fandom. Not so much the people as like a majority of furries being that way, but more so the small that are, and make it super open and make it like, oh, I'm a furry and I'm into zoophile, whatever, And the question of it is that let's see, as a furry yourself, how does that make you feel that these people are trying to get into the fandom and claim to be furries?
I honestly really hate it. It makes me so angry.
Mm-hmm. I feel that. I hate it too. I ran into my fair
Because-
share.
It's, like I said, kind of going back to Sappho, because I know she was the biggest issue. Honestly, why am I even using their correct pronouns? They don't deserve it because of how bad they are, honestly.
Yeah.
But within the fandom, people like that, it's just... And I'm gonna use Sappho as examples, because I know that they were one of the people, they were basically manipulating children into believing that zoophilia and bestiality was okay, and it's honestly not, because it's at the end of the day, all of that is just animal abuse.
Yeah. It is, because animals cannot consent. And that's one of the biggest points is that they try to use, oh, my animal's willingly doing this. No, it's not. It is not willingly doing that. You trained
No.
it to behave a certain way. An animal would not naturally want to do that with you. Animals cannot consent. They cannot speak. And I just hate when people like that use that. It is not something that works. It does not
Yeah.
work that way.
And I know some of my friends, they've actually been trying to get a petition started to shut down Zeta.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is actually the thing that I believe Sappho originally started, saying that, zoophilia is okay and all of that, and like it was some sort of an organization to keep zoophiles safe or something.
Yeah, it was initially, from what I understood. Which is ironic, because it sounds a lot like a certain not even pet, animal rights activist organization that is known for killing animals.
Yeah, it's literally spelled the same, just the first letter is different.
Yeah. We're not gonna go into that, though, but still. Case in point.
No, but yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, continuing on, this is also another taboo topic, is that in recent years there has been a lot of issues with pedophilia also being involved in the fandom, minors being groomed and stuff like that. As a furry, how does that make you feel as well?
I don't like it, and honestly, I think people who think that way should not be allowed in the fandom, because, so, my local furry group, for example, we have a good amount of minors in our little meetup. And it's not just ours, it's all the local meets too. I know there's quite a few kids who really love the fandom, and it's really unfortunate when these adults think that just because these kids are part of the fandom, that they think it's, you know, because, well, in any case, it's not okay in any sort of situation, but I've noticed for some reason it seems to be worse with the furry fandom.
Yeah.
And it's not okay. Like, even if a kid can technically consent, like, if a kid tells you, oh yeah, you can do this to me, you still shouldn't do it, because they don't have kids do not know what they're talking about. They're not ready for this. Their mental capacity is not the same as an adult.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
And legally speaking, and morally so, it's wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, also the thing I really hate too, like, so the one thing I do like about online is that the legal age of consent for online is 18. The thing that I absolutely hate, though, is, like, my state, I'll use my friend's state, for example, too, but his state, in IRL, like, the legal age of consent for his state is 16 years old. My state, the legal age of consent is 17. And, honestly, even if that is okay, it's still not okay to me, because if you're, like, 25 and you want to date a 17-year-old, that's not right. That's not okay.
Yeah. Online, I think it's 18 plus is the overall, because technically, by most standards, you are an official adult by that means. Obviously, in places like Japan, that is a different story, like it's a lot younger, but I think Japan is also working to get that a little bit higher up, because that was one of the things that people had issues with, and a lot of countries are following suit with that, which is a good thing.
Before my Japanese pen pal decided to, you know, unalive himself, he would tell me a lot about, like, the consent over there and, like, the furry fandom, because he's a furry too, and he would always tell me that, and he said it was really bad over there, but he said that there was somebody who, and it was zoophilia. It was a pedophilia zoophilia case.
Oh.
They were dating a minor animal.
Oh, wow. That is...
This person that he had to deal with, he actually had to sue them because the particular animal that was in the situation was one of them that he bred. His family is poodle breeders. They breed poodles for a living. They're very well respected over there. And someone, you know, bought this poodle from them, and then they basically had the cops come back to them, because obviously this poodle was just barely old enough to, you know, it was just at the age to leave.
Yeah.
Just at the age to leave its mother, you know? So that's when, you know, people could start adopting them. This man adopted the poodle right when it could be adopted, and basically started using that poor animal for
things.
Sexual relations.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I will say this, it is crazy that things like that happen in the world, and a lot of people don't know that happens.
And this guy's excuse, from what my friend told me, his excuse was, oh, I'm a furry, it's okay.
It is, and see, that's where it is wrong, is that,
yeah.
It does not give you a legal pass to do that. It is, I don't see why people would use that, but it does not give you a legal pass.
No.
That is not what a furry is. And that is, like, the number one thing that people try to say is that, oh, furries are zoophiles. No, they're not. They are not. That is two separate things. So, oftentimes, more often than not, some Therians are furries as well. But there are a few Therians who are not. How do you, as a person, feel about Therians?
I, myself, am a Therian.
Okay.
So, people, honestly, they've asked me, like, a few times, they're like, is that what got you into the fandom? I'm like, no, I've honestly known since I was little that I was a Therian, because, my brother, who I've told you about, he was one.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't even know about furries until, you know, because he never told me about furries, Like I said, I happened to find that video of Telephone, that's what got me into the fandom, but I was more so into Therians when I was younger because of my brother.
Yeah.
And I always I knew deep down that, this was what I was. I could feel it, it felt natural, it felt special.
I mean, that's fair. Like, you have a reason for it, and that is understandable. I know with Therians, my knowledge is very, very minimal, and mostly just stuff I've seen off of, like, TikTok or various sections of the internet. But from what I understand, Therians typically have this sense that they either are not meant to be human or have some sort of animal spirit of some kind dwelling within them. Is what I typically hear most of the time. I don't know if it's different for every case or what it is, but for you...
It honestly is dependent on the person. For me, it's more of a spiritual thing.
Okay. I think most people tend to go with that. Because I myself am also a felinist, which is a... I don't know if you've ever heard of felinism, but felinism is related to solution paganism. Let me read from the wiki for you, just so you kind of get an understanding. So, felinism, it's an animalistic religion centered around the idea of feline species as being divine beings. Okay. Is that...
And my Therian form is actually a black cat.
Okay. It kind of sounds like it slightly derives from the Egyptians a little bit, because they were cat worshippers. They worshipped cats and stuff like that. They saw them as like
I'm pretty sure
gift of the divine of sorts.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's probably where the religion was from. But according to this, a modern religion was founded in the 30th century. But it had its roots in the pre-Amadi indigenous shamanistic pagan religion.
Okay.
In Barmanistan. Barmanistan.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there could be some roots to Egyptian stuff there as well, considering it's similar. A lot of religions do tend to bounce off of each other as well, I've noticed, so I don't know, but,
Being a black cat Therian, for me, it feels like it goes hand in hand with the felinist, religion.
Yeah.
Because the felinist religion is also, it is a subcategory of paganism.
Yeah.
So, and I've always identified as pagan as well, so it's just like, part of that.
Yeah, of course. So, before we get to the closing parts, I will say we're going to get into a little bit of the not safe for work section a little bit. Not a lot, as we don't want to, skip and disturb Twitch guidelines, because it's a little touchy. Obviously, with furries, there's a lot of different aspects of furries that are very sexual. Obviously, a lot of adults typically tend to do a lot of adult activities. And, there's a thing called soft suiting and mersuiting, which, if you don't know what those are, I'm not explaining that because Twitch will probably ban me. But if you decide to look it up, don't look at photos. Don't look at photos or videos. Just find a dictionary description or some shit. I don't know. Just don't. It's sexual stuff with suits. We'll just say that, okay? But anyway, personally as a furry, how do you feel about that type of stuff? Like soft suiting and mersuiting. How do you feel about that?
Well, honestly, I don't really know what soft suiting is. This is actually the first time I'm hearing about that.
I will say I can explain that one. I can explain that one real quick. Okay. So it's suggestive, if not, nudes in fursuit. So like head, paws, tail sometimes, if they're doing that. Stuff like that. It's usually suggestive to not safe for work.
Oh, then no. Honestly, so I really think that, like, the human parts of us and, like, our furry selves, like, especially with suits, I think all of that and, like, anything sexual should be kept separate.
Yeah.
Just because... Well, so with mersuiting, for example, I'm not going to go into detail, obviously, because we don't need to, but
Yeah.
honestly, you know, the idea of doing that in your suit, it not only does it make me uncomfortable, but I feel bad for the suit. You'd have to wash it, you know, all of that, all the sweat, everything. It's just, it's not something that, you know, it's not appealing to me. It's not something, you know, I personally would be interested. I do know some people who, you know, who are okay with it because, you know, we are adults, and if it's done properly, then, you know, it's their choice.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just, you know, so I also, like, partially identify as semi-asexual.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of, you know, things like that don't really
appeal to you,
just,
basically.
you know, yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the things is, like, especially with suits, like, because, okay, so to me, and I know it is, like, adults, hopefully adults doing it, because it is something that should be done by adults, but soft suiting, mersuiting, any of that, I feel that when you are in that suit, when you are in your fursuit, it's way too close to bestiality in a way, in my opinion, because it literally, when you're in suit, you literally are an animal character, and it's just at the point where it's animal on animal at that case. Like, I know you're still human under the costume, but it's hard to explain, but it's like, in my opinion, it's too close to bestiality in my point of view.
Yeah.
Because it's literally even though it's humans in the suit, it's still the suits that are getting, like, all the sweat and stuff on them, and it literally just looks like two animals going at it.
Yeah.
Even though there's humans in the suit.
And another thing is that some suitors actually will use the suits that they go out in public in as their mersuits as well. They don't separate it, and they justify it by saying, "Oh, well, I washed it." To me personally, I don't like it either. I do not like it. I think that you should have separate suits for that.
Yeah, like, I just don't like it in general. Like, it feels wrong in a way, especially if you're using, like, your real genitals. That's how I'm gonna put it for safety purposes. But because, well, I'll use an example. So that guy who messaged you the other day on your post,
yeah,
I was looking through his account, and his cover photo was literally him in his suit with his thing hanging out. And honestly, it didn't feel right. It made me feel very uncomfortable. Things like that don't sit well with me. That's the best I can put it with trying to follow guidelines for you.
Yeah. That's probably the best way you could go about it, because I don't know how YouTube's guidelines are going to take it either, so it's fine. I might have to cut some things out or bleep some stuff. We'll find out. But anyway, in any case, I know, like, with art, how do you feel about an art aspect of not safe for work?
So art is another story, because it's just, you know, with art is art. However, there are those few exceptions where I believe it's not okay at all.
Yeah.
So, the ones that I'm okay with, as long as your character is of legal age and you're drawing, you know, maybe just something saucy, you know, something kind of cute, sensual, something like that, I don't mind it. But when it comes to, cub is one of the, I know the furry term that is used for minors. When it's any kind of cub art that is not safe for work, I don't feel comfortable with it. And one of the biggest issues I know when it comes to this is I know a lot of people really like diaper cub art. And it's usually always very not safe for work.
Yeah.
And that is, it's always just, that's always the kind I've seen that's really bad too.
Yeah.
Is it's usually cub, it's usually diaper cub art, and it's usually very not safe for work.
Yeah. And I mean, that's different from diaper furs. Those are just furs who like they like diapers, which I'm not okay with. I personally don't like that, and it makes me uncomfortable because it feels a little weird. But if somebody else is into that, I'm not going to say anything to them. That's their business, not mine. Everyone's allowed to
Yeah.
like what they want,
Okay,
but
so for me, for example, I will admit that I do have a little space, and sometimes I do wear diapers from time to time, but it's also mostly because I do also have a bladder problem.
yeah.
Mostly it's a comfort thing as well,
Hmm.
but when people do it sexually, that's when I feel it gets wrong.
Yeah. That's understandable. And another
Like, if it's done the right way,
Mhm.
if it's done the right way, then I see nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
But when people, take any of this sexually, especially like the cubs, the diaper cub, any of that, then it feels wrong. And I think when it comes to any kind of not safe for work furry art, I think the biggest one that I am not okay with is feral.
Yeah, feral is one of my biggest things that I don't like, and it's usually typically done with Pokemon art, but
Yeah.
it's kind
See,
of torn. But with actual like feral animals, it's weirder to me. I think that's a lot worse
yeah.
than fake Pokemon. I feel like most people
Yeah.
blow
So, like,
that one
for
out of
me,
proportion.
So, for me, when it comes to feral art, don't
Mhm.
get me wrong, sometimes feral art can be very cute if it's done cleanly,
Yeah,
like safe for work. Like, if you're drawing, like, your character in its feral form, like sleeping or curled up or rolling around with a ball of yarn or something like that. Very appealing art. But when you make your character basically feral, you're also, in a sense, dumbing it down to like a primitive state, and you're making it more animal at that point. Which, in that case, if you make it not safe for work, it can lead into bestiality territory.
yeah, extremely, and that is one of the biggest like hot topics in the fandom at this current point of us doing this live. By the way, that could change by the time this is like posted, but it like comes up every few months or so. It constantly is an issue that comes up because everyone's so different about it. But the mass majority do not like not safe for work feral art. But I think we should go ahead and get to these last 2 points, as these are the final questions as well. But what is your best memory in the fandom, and what is one of your worst memories in the fandom?
So, surprisingly, my best memory is actually with my brother.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I mentioned earlier, he's not my real brother, but he was there for me more than my real siblings ever were. So, when I was brought to America, all of us were immediately put into the foster care system. And honestly, he became friends with my brother, but he ended up taking more care of me. And after I told him that I had found out about the fandom, he said, we should do this together. And I didn't know what it was. He just showed me kind of a picture. It was a park of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
And he bought me this really cute cat ear headband, cute fluffy tail, thing like that. Because, obviously we couldn't really afford fursuits at that age.
Yeah.
But we went to this park, and it was my very first furry meetup. It wasn't a convention or anything, but it was just a meetup with a bunch of his friends that were also furries, and honestly, just being able to spend that time with him, being able to be part of the fandom, being with him, honestly, it's just a really good memory, because not only was it my first meet, but I was able to be with him at it, and every time I remember that, it reminds me that, there are still good furries in this community, even if a lot of people believe we're bad.
Yeah. And obviously, within the good memory, there's always a bad one that ties in sometime. At some point.
So, this actually happened, I believe, around... I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, but I went to a meet up in the city area with one of my friends. He offered to take me to this one meetup, and because I'd wanted to go because I wanted to see the place, I wanted to see the area because I'd never been anyways, and he's like, why don't you come to the meet with me? So I agreed, and we started walking with the group because we were to walk around the area.
Mm-hmm.
And the head of the group, the main guy, basically said, "We're gonna go this way," and he pointed into the opposite direction that we were going. We had to turn around, and everybody knew what was going on except me.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked in the direction that we were supposed to go, and I locked eyes with a very bad furry known as Foxler.
Oh shit! Is that why he turned course?
Yes, because Foxler in our state is just one of the very bad furries, and he's known for really bad things. He considers himself a furry Hitler.
Yeah, I've heard stories about him, and I've seen a couple of videos pop up of him fairly recently.
Yeah.
Does he only do this in your state, or does he go to other states nearby too?
I don't know about other states. I just know he's very prominent in mine.
Okay.
And I didn't know what everyone was talking about, so I looked over, and he and I locked eyes, and my heart started racing. I felt scared. Something just felt very off about him. I didn't feel comfortable, and everyone was kind of leaving the pack, but I was kind of stuck frozen because I was scared. And my friend, thankfully, whipped around and grabbed me, pulled me away, and things kind of ended there. I ended up asking about who it was at the end because I didn't know who it was at the time.
Yeah.
And I found out who it was, and honestly, just that fear that struck me just from looking at him, that was pretty bad. I was pretty scared, honestly.
Yeah. Which obviously with the people that we do mention, and with this, if people mention certain suitors and stuff, I'm gonna go look them up and find pictures of them, so obviously anyone who watches these videos can keep an eye out for these types of people. But Foxler is one of the most infamous, like, Nazi furs out there. Because he literally thinks he's furry Hitler, basically. And,
he also, unfortunately in my state, is known for manipulating minors into agreeing with his point of view.
yeah, which a lot
And
of
I
people
know-
like that do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, that is pretty much the end of of all the questions that I do have. I probably should have put a lot of these together to make it a little simpler. Obviously, this went on a lot longer than I thought it was going to because we did get sidetracked. But it's okay. Is there anything that you wish to say before we end this interview? It can be anything inspirational, advice, advertisements, anything.
I think the biggest thing, I don't really like to advertise my art or my suits or anything like that, so that's not what I'm gonna do, even though I am, open. But I do want to say that if you are not part of the fandom, like furry theory and any of that, don't be afraid to join, or don't be afraid to join the fandom, or ask somebody who's in the fandom about, stuff about it. Like, honestly, don't just assume things about the fandom. Actually get to know someone from the fandom to find, the truth. Get to know a furry, a lot of us will be glad to sit down and talk with you. We'd love to chat with you, help you understand us better.
Yeah, never trust an anti-fur for your information. Never do that. They do not know what they are talking about. If you want genuine information, Google it or talk to a furry. I promise you, you will get your proper information, as they said. That is your best source for furry information.
And a lot of us love to talk, so if you want some good information about the fandom, just come talk to us. Don't be afraid to talk to us, or just, find a connection with a furry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Yeah. So, it's just a small series of questions. You can answer them as vaguely or as detailed as you want. No pressure. And I will say this is also going on YouTube later on. So, is that alright with you as well?
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay, awesome. Let me go ahead and pull up my questions on my Discord here for a second. Again, there's quite a few questions, but again, answer as vaguely or as detailed as you want.
Mm-hmm.
So, with simplistics, you can answer this as simple or detailed as you want. So, how old are you?
I'm a minor.
Okay. That's fair.
15.
Okay, fair enough. There are quite a few 15-year-olds in this game, so that makes sense. Let's see, next question. Are you yourself LGBTQ+ by any chance?
Yes, I'm actually trans, and gay.
Oh, okay. What are your preferred pronouns, by the way?
He, him.
He, him? Okay. Awesome. I just wanted to be sure so I didn't call you the wrong pronouns. If I do, I'm so sorry. I am gender fluid myself, so I understand it.
It's okay.
So, did you want to know an interesting fun fact about the furry community and LGBTQ+ people?
Sure, go for it.
So, let me see this. According to 4 different surveys, about 14 to 25% of fandom members are homosexual. 37 to 52% are bisexual. 28 to 51% are heterosexual, and 3 to 8 report other forms of alternative sexual relationships. As a I will say, are you a furry or no?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I don't mind them, but, like, I'm not a furry.
Okay, so as a non-furry person, how does it make you feel hearing that there are that many people who are LGBTQ+ within in the furry fandom?
I think it's nice because there's different types of people, and that's kind of what the LGBTQ is. There's different types of people in it, and it don't matter if you're trans, queer, etc., etc. There's different types of people, and they're their own person. So I think it's really nice to have a whole separate fandom join in with another, you know?
Yeah, of course.
Fandom wasn't the word. You know what I mean.
Yeah, no, yeah, community. Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That is fair. So where did you first hear the term furry?
On TikTok, actually, and from my best friend. She herself was like a huge furry person, and her persona is a cat mixed with a dragon, I think?
Okay.
I'm not sure. But she's all up for it, and I'm like, okay, go for it. That's your thing? Yeah, sure. I don't mind. I do have to say it's really cute, actually.
Of course.
But, she kind of brought it up, and she was actually really scared to bring it up because a lot of people are against furries and stuff. And then, she was afraid I would be the type of person to be against it.
Yeah, and
So,
being on
yeah.
this game, you see it a lot too. So, I mean,
Yeah.
just being in a black cat in this avatar or their avatar could literally make you a target. It is unfortunate and
Yeah,
crazy.
like for harassment just by like 11, 12-year-olds and then up to 30-year-olds.
Oh,
They all
yeah.
harass furries, but it happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like how they harass femboys.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Next question. So how long have you known about the fandom?
I'd say about 2.5 years ish, around there. Yeah, that was about how long.
Okay. Pretty decent amount of time. All right. Let's see. So obviously I am a furry myself. Is there any questions that you're looking to have answered about furries or the furry fandom as a whole?
Okay.
Mhm.
I think I have one,
Okay.
but it may sound a little weird. I'm sorry if it comes off rude, but how'd you get into furries?
How did I? Okay. So, interestingly enough, when I was younger, I watched a lot of Disney movies. I grew up on Disney. And then I also grew up on the internet. So I kind of fell into the rabbit hole, so to speak. So
Mhm.
I've kind of just discovered it randomly, mostly through like DeviantArt, when DeviantArt was like a huge thing, and I saw the term there, and a lot of furries end up finding it through like media that has furries, like anthropomorphic characters.
Mhm. I was just curious because my best friend, I don't know how she got into furries, but I guess it's different for everybody.
Oh yeah, it really is. You
Um,
can ask any furry and they'll give you a different answer most of the time. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel knowledgeable on the subject of furries in the furry fandom?
Ooh, I am not that knowledgeable. I'd have to say like a 5 out of 10. Let's be honest.
Okay, so like a 50-50
I
shot.
like to go to their worlds and communicate with them, but like,
Yeah.
because I have a couple avatars myself of furries because some of them look really cool. Like for example, this one.
Mhm.
It's loading. It's kind of small, but I'm way down here.
In a volley. You
Oh,
have a
okay.
volley, that's nice.
Here, I'll just turn the camera a little. Oh, there you
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
Taller.
Yeah. There we go. There we are.
That's better.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Now you're
this
a
one
little
I like
too
the
big.
vibrant colors as a
There we go.
autistic person.
There we go.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, yeah, and you know, with like furry avatars, they tend to be super creative and very pretty. Which on PC end, obviously you can't see it, but if you were to look on my stream, you would see there's like a bunch of different colored sparkles on it, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. It basically looks like a rainbow gemstone.
If you don't mind, can I watch it later if that's okay?
Yeah, it'll be on well, unfortunately with the VOD, it won't be available on Twitch, but hopefully within the next month in December, the video will be posted. So if you follow my YouTube, which is the same as on here, which is HerobrineSings,
Okay.
the video will be up on there and you'll be able to see it.
You know, that is something I have noticed about the fandom. They're very proud with their avatars.
Oh, very.
They're very creative. Their avies are always so visually stunning and just very appealing. And honestly, they have more variety with furry avatars than they do human avies. Human avies always seem to have the same face. There's no distinction, honestly, besides clothes or who makes them. But then with furries, you have, you know, different fur patterns, different hairstyles. And usually there's a very good array of clothes for them. Unlike with, you know, e-boys, for example, it's just a muscle shirt, tech pants, and a generic e-boy face.
Yeah, you are
You
right.
really called them out. Wow.
I do like when creators do at least attempt to sculpt the body or face to their own design, though. I will give them that credit if they do that. So, obviously, with you said you're like 15, correct? Do you have a PC and have you like dabbled in like avatar creation of any kind or world creation?
I want to. I've been studying up on it, but I have not. I'm saving up for a PC currently.
Okay.
I'm at 1,000. Did a lot of summer jobs, let's be honest.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
On God. But I've been studying a little here and there on how to make avies, and the first Abby I think I'm ever gonna create is for my friend. The one I was talking about, the furry.
Yeah.
She wants me to make her create a furry design thingy. You know, I don't know what you guys call it.
Yeah.
Texture or an asset
Oh.
of some sort?
I guess if that's what y'all call it.
If it's like a full avatar, it's
also
a
because it's
base, but
yeah, it's a base. If
Yeah.
it's the full avatar, and then there's like accessories, which are assets, and then like textures, for example, are like so the texture on that one would be like the the browns and stuff, and the one on this would be like the blue spots and things.
yeah.
Yeah. But I plan on making the entire thing from scratch and stuff.
Okay.
Just for a test, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Always gotta start somewhere. And with avatar and world creation and even art, like I don't know if you do anything particularly in a artistic sense or not. But in terms of VRCHAT, I know a lot of people don't know this, but did you know that a lot of worlds and avatars are actually created by furries. Even human avatars are typically created by furries. In fact, the world we're standing in right now is created by a furry, the black cat.
Yeah, that is true. I kind of look at the world creators sometimes, and look at their art and stuff. And most of it is created by furries.
Yeah. And as a non-furry, how does that make you feel?
It doesn't really bother me too much because they're sharing their own art, and regular people share their own art, because furries are still considered people if you think about it.
Yeah.
Unless they've just, okay, let's be honest, crossed the line and went into the actual animal area. There are some people like that. I've met one and I got barked at. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And let's just say that was not a fun experience.
Oh yeah.
But,
some people can be weird.
Yeah. But if they're sharing their own art, that's good. They're still humans. They can do what they wish. It's kind of their art.
Yeah. So, in the topic of avatars, do you feel like avatars, like human avatars with like animal ears and tails, like the Nico or Neko avatars, however people want to pronounce it, people pronounce it differently. Do you feel personally that those are considered furry avatars or borderline?
I'd say borderline, kinda.
Okay.
Because they're still kind of human-looking avatars, and yeah, sure, they got like ears and stuff. And let's be honest, if they don't have those ears, they can look kind of weird.
They do. They do.
But I think it's okay to just wear them like that. I even have some myself with ears and stuff.
And some even go the extra mile of having like hands that are paws or even like little feet. Even there's some that are out there like that. In terms, like, I know this is like a very dodgy topic. This part is going to be a little dodgy. But obviously you mentioned people, you know, with the whole animal thing. So I'm sure you've heard of what in the fandom we call zoophilia and bestiality. I'm sure I'm sure you've heard of that. So and a lot of these people try to associate themselves with furries, which
furries reject it, and I know that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I thought zoophilia and bestiality, oh my god.
Yeah, no.
Too far. Crossing the line, like way too far.
Yeah, and a lot of furries will advocate for those animals and try to get that person thrown in jail for it and stuff like that. Like, the furries really do care about animals, and people who associate themselves like that are ostracized from the fandom entirely. So...
Little fun fact, I know a lot of us in the fandom as well, like, me especially, I've donated quite a bit of money to, like, anti-abuse organizations for animals.
And, personally, as a very big animal lover, I plan on being a vet tech.
Yeah.
A lot of money, but, it really disappoints me with the zoophilia that people do.
So we're on the last 3 questions, so I'll combine the 2 of them. What is your best interaction with a furry, and what is one of the worst interactions you've ever had with a furry?
My best interaction is when we have cuddle puddles.
Okay.
Best thing ever, let's be honest. We all group up and we just chill. We talk about random stuff. Now, my worst interaction has got to be when it's like little kids just doing inappropriate stuff in public lobbies.
Yeah, and are they typically in like
furry avatars?
Yeah, in furry avatars. It does happen, unfortunately, and I'm an avatar creator myself, but I never make not safe for work avatars that are public. Not a single one. It just doesn't need to be there. It just does not need to be public.
And it's the NSFW that kids find on furry avies that just, and then they go into public avies and act very inappropriate with it.
Yeah.
Some people don't want to see that.
No,
Let's be honest.
I've seen my fair share of it, unfortunately, and it is not okay. I've had people try to do
not
inappropriate
okay
stuff
at
to
all.
me with the not safe for work avatars, and I'm like, dog, no, don't do that. But you know how people are. People can be nasty, and it doesn't even have to be furry. Sometimes it's non-furries who get a hold of those avatars and do that too. So
Yeah, them too. And sometimes it's just little kids who pretend to be furries and just come up and harass adults and their kids.
Oh.
It gets there.
yeah,
Oh, there's a little
The worst
tiny
thing, though,
person.
is I think it's when it's a non-furry and they go around pretending to be a furry and they basically act as the bad stereotypes, and it's what honestly gets people to believe that the fandom is bad.
yeah, that is true. That is true. Continuing on to the last and final question. As a non-furry, would you ever consider possibly giving the fandom a try at any given point? Why or why not?
If I find it pleasing at some point, yeah, sure, I don't mind.
Okay.
Always up to try new things. In fact, me and my best friend are supposed to go to I forgot what it was called. A place where a bunch of other furries go, and
meetup?
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, a meetup?
It's yeah, a
Could it be a
meetup,
meetup or a
convention or something.
Yeah, a meetup or a convention.
You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
And she plans on making me something.
Okay.
It's a hyena.
Oh,
And I'm
okay.
like, okay, sure, I don't mind. And so we're gonna go do that.
Who knows? Maybe you'll leave a
So-
furry. Who knows?
Maybe.
If you see the video, update
But,
me if it comes out by then.
Okay.
But that is.
Yeah.
But that is all the questions. Do you have any closing comments, advice, advertisements, anything that you would like to give the people?
No, I'm okay. But you are you a hyena or a wolf or
It is a
or
werewolf.
A robot dog or
It's
something?
a mecha werewolf.
It is a werewolf.
Yeah, it is. It is themed after
Okay.
Freddy Fazbear.
I can tell.
Yeah, this is actually an avatar I've done.
Very fancy.
I have almost all the main cast as these. I just felt Freddy was one of the better ones to do because he has a microphone. So
Yeah.
all right. But that is all of my
Alrighty.
questions, and that is everything. And I appreciate your time. The
Sure.
So I will ask: are you a furry or a non-furry?
Okay. Well, I'm obviously a non-furry,
Okay.
by the looks of my avatar.
Yeah. Okay, that's just a general question, so I know which questions to ask you. So, no big deal.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure.
Which I will say the non-furry answers are a lot
Um,
shorter. So,
Yeah, I used to be a furry, so you could always go ahead and ask me other general things like that. I've
Okay.
been around furries. I have many furry friends and such.
okay, so I'll ask.
So-
I'll ask my other question here in a second after I ask these generalized questions. So how old are you by chance?
I am 16 years old on VRCHAT here.
Okay. Okay. Preferred pronouns?
Any will do.
Any will do. Okay.
As long as they're not insults.
Yeah, of course. All serious here. All serious here.
Yeah, yeah.
I will say you said you were formerly a furry. What made you stop being a furry?
Well, long time ago, within the past, I was exploring my sexuality and community-based wise, and was introduced into the furry fandom.
Okay.
I had loved it for many years, but after being used by friends, partners into sexual and drama-like routes and such, I had developed less feelings for the furry fandom. Not in a hatred, but just I don't want to be around them. I ended up leaving and focusing on a VRCHAT server
Okay.
for the past half a year or so. But it was actually until today that I started talking with furries again.
Okay.
So, not that there's nothing wrong with them, I just haven't been wanting to be around them.
Okay, that's understandable. Everyone has their personal opinions as to why they leave the fandom or join it. Completely understandable. I don't blame you one bit. So, the next question: are you LGBTQ plus at all?
I am bisexual and gender fluid myself, so yes.
Okay. So obviously being within the fandom, you've seen probably a lot of LGBTQ plus furries and stuff like that, which a mass majority of the fandom is LGBTQ plus in some way, shape, or form. So how does that make you feel personally?
Well, it doesn't really affect me by much. Being around a lot of LGBTQ people, I do hear quite a few of them being furries. I am supportive of them as if they are my friends. I support them as mutuals. I support them as members of my server, if they're in it, because we respect everyone to our fullest. There is typically no problem with them at all. As long as they're not complete douchebags, I guess you would say in a better term.
Yeah.
I am completely fine with them.
Okay. And where did you first hear the term furry?
Well, it would probably have started about, I'm estimating here, but about 8 years ago when I was stumbling online, and this was when TikTok was having that weird gamer and furry war type deal, and that's when I started hearing about it, and I was on the side of the gamers, not on TikTok, but just in general, me not liking furries, and then an ex of mine brought me into the furry fandom as in showing what they really are, and it wasn't until VRCHAT actually that I started understanding and liking the fandom a whole lot. So I would say about roughly 5 years ago is when I would start actually introducing myself into the fandom.
Okay. Alright. You're actually the first person to mention the furry TikTok gamer war thing. Nobody else has mentioned it, surprisingly. So that is super interesting, actually.
It is quite an old thing. If you didn't hear, they tried starting a second one when I hopped onto TikTok a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I had been on the mutual grounds, but I wanted to just say, let's not have this fight. I support furries, but I also support gamers. I just don't want this fighting to happen. Luckily, it never happened officially, but there had been some drama here and there, and a couple of depressions and lost accounts, but nothing terribly too serious, luckily, unlike other incidents that have happened.
Yeah. So the next few questions were going to be how long did you know about the fandom and how do you personally feel about them, but you've pretty much already answered that, so I can go ahead and skip that. Let's see, next question would be... obviously you seem very well versed with the fandom, but is there any, like, questions you would have for somebody who is currently still in the fandom like myself that you would like answered about it?
With general questions of fandom, recently they keep coming out with new hybrids and new ideas for furries, such as, well, a new species of sorts, and especially getting into the fandom. Today I've met 2 different new hybrids, and I've asked them both, hey, like, what's this hybrid? And they explain it to him. Other than that, I pretty much know the community a lot from the passages being in it and from friends. As a general person, getting to know someone, I would ask appropriate questions such as pronouns and comfortable stuff, but that's a little bit more in detail.
Yeah, and I know what you mean by the species thing. Like, the fandom is very creative with that type of thing. There's always something new out there.
Like the Mama Jin and Papa Jin, for example. When those came out, I didn't know what they were until I was asked.
Yeah, which I myself typically use a Mama Jin avatar, but my private one doesn't have my name on it at the current time, so I'm avoid using it in Publix. Otherwise, I would normally be in her. So that's why I'm wearing this fella, because he's one of my Publics that I've created, so...
It looks very nice, so keep up the good work.
Yeah. If you're familiar with Five Nights at Freddy's, that should give you a generalized hint of who this is.
It looks like it, so I see it.
Yeah. I know in Quest it's a little harder to see though, unfortunately, because the shading's weird, but yeah.
Yeah.
As a former furry, how do you feel about furries on a scale of like 1 to 10?
As a whole, and seeing the general, like, good side of the furry fandom, I would probably give it a 9 out of 10. That one extra point would be just, not to be rude or anything, but there are a couple weird people that I do see, not because of kinks or fetishes or anything like that, but just in a general, public standpoint of being obnoxious and childish and stuff like that. Completely fine if you do within a group of friends or around trusted, but around in a public stance, it can get a little, what's the appropriate word, irritating, especially with, previous, performances I have dealt with.
Yeah, of course, understandable.
That is very much, yeah. Honestly, that's a very good point, too, when it comes to, like, the fandom.
Yeah.
If you're not with a group of friends, and you're just by yourself, or it's maybe, like, 1 or 2 of you, don't go to, like, a public lobby or something, like, try and force, like, the furry fandom onto, like, a non-furry or something. Like, you can talk to them about it, but don't get irritating or annoying about it.
Yeah, of course.
My server we're in, we do recruitment runs all the time. We did one earlier today, and we actually had an instance where some young kid from whatever group started harassing people in the world, asking them to join, but after we realized what he was doing, we kicked him out of the world. But people like him are a good example of what we don't want to see. Like, don't be that type of person. Just, if you're gonna be like that, don't do it in public worlds.
That type of stuff is more frowned upon than it's ever been. Like, trolling and stuff like that is one thing, but straight up just being a nuisance is a completely different story. This is a fun one. So, are you a creative mind of any kind? Like, do you create avatars, worlds, art, anything like that?
I'm not much on the artistic scale of things. My mind can run very crazy with ideas. On an artistic level of making things, the best thing I can do is probably do some, what I like to call shade art.
Okay.
I kind of just grab a mechanical pencil and kind of make a couple figures and paper and shade it all in, and it actually looks pretty decent.
Yeah. Obviously, you play probably a lot of VR, but did you know that a lot of worlds and avatars are actually created by furries? Even the human avatars and non-furry related worlds typically tend to be created by furries.
I do believe that. I have many friends, or past friends even, who are avatar creators, world creators, and such. And even people who I know that aren't furries are, well, friends with many furries of such. So, the furry fandom has really created VRCHAT in a mass production way. And I am very grateful for that, as a good community is within VRCHAT, along with other great communities. Sadly, people get picked apart from it and are making it look very bad from it. So, I mean, for everyone who is watching, obviously, just know, like, if people bully you, don't worry about it. Just stick with your friends, stick with your group. Like, don't worry about some person who doesn't like you. No.
Yeah.
Please take your time.
This is another avatar-related question. So, obviously, you've seen, like, human avatars with, like, furry ears, tail, sometimes, like, arms and legs and stuff like that. They're, like...
The hybrids, yeah.
Yeah,
all the time.
So, personally, to you, do you feel that those are considered furry avatars, or do you think that they are their own separate thing, or, like, a borderline of sorts?
I would go with the line of it's their own type of species. I used to defend furries the whole time before I actually became a furry a couple years back. So I went to go online and search up the definition. The definition, if you don't know, according to an official report, is furry is an animal with human characteristics. So talking, standing,
characteristics, actually.
They're pretty much like that. In a basic standpoint is what I would get at.
just
I
gonna
myself have
turn him
one,
down.
and I've been called a. Yeah, I myself have an avatar that was personally made for me, for my split personality actually. But it is a quite interesting avatar, not finished by any means. But again, I would probably say that they're non-furries, their
Okay.
own type of species, whatever they're called again.
Yeah, of course. So we're gonna get into a kind of like more touchy topic of sorts. This is one that is very, unfortunately, very rampant within the community of itself. These people are obviously not considered part of the fandom in any way, shape, or form, but I'm sure you've heard of the term zoos and bestiality before.
Absolutely.
But continuing with the question, so obviously, like I said before, we were interrupted numerous times. Obviously, you've heard about, zoos and stuff like that. How do you personally feel about it, and the like?
Okay. When it comes to zoophiles or bestiality people, I do not support that whatsoever. In a general perspective, we don't support that within the Wurbun, my server. It is really, I'm gonna put this the nicest way possible, very disgusting and very wrong for obviously many reasons. People talk about crossbreeding other animals in the animal kingdom. Humans and an animal, like a physical non-human, is just utterly wrong and disgusting. People who are in the furry fandom, and who are these people, I have seen and had previous friends that I did not support and were soon blocked or removed, be zoophiles and bestiality people. I've had them, and they are obviously not the best sort of people.
Yeah.
For them being in the community, I really do feel bad for the other people in the community having to deal with them, because that kind of brandmark as furries. I've been another people who spiritually believe they're an animal is another great example of the fandom being labeled as people who are spiritually connected with animals.
Yeah.
That's a completely different thing, and people who just want to dress up and act like a furry creature is completely fine, and there's nothing wrong with being spiritual on a level. For me, it's not my thing.
Yeah.
But I just feel bad for everyone who has to deal with it, and I just wish that they would be separate and not connected.
I will say
media and such.
I will say furries are like the spiritually inclined. Those typically are not furries. Those are Therians. But people tend to combine the two.
People think they're furries.
Yeah, they tend to combine the two first. Sometimes they are both.
And some.
But yeah.
Yeah, sometimes they're both. But people think if they're in it, then it's just the one. Because they don't know what the other name is.
Yeah.
Same thing was.
Which hopefully with this video, maybe more people will understand that difference a little better. Me and my friend Phoenix here, we went into a much greater depth earlier on, and their part is actually going to be like the first in the video, so that'll be like one of the first things people see. Personally, for you, what was your best and worst interaction with a furry?
I would say,
and you can go into as much detail as you want or none. So whatever's more comfortable for you.
No, of course. Going to get very personal here.
Okay.
I have been around VRCHAT for many years now, and I have dealt with many people, with many communities. Recently this summer, I've dealt with someone very terrible, but they were not a furry, so I can't necessarily bring them up. However, the worst furry, I will say the worst first, is, it was an abusive ex of mine. When I was roughly around 14, 15 years old, just about turned 15, I was exploring my sexuality with bisexual and exploring a point in my life where I wanted to be a femboy. I'm not now, but for a couple months I was exploring that route and decided if I want to. During that time, I had managed to find myself a dominant boyfriend, which I do seriously used to love.
Yeah.
However, after some time, we had a disagreement, and he managed to force me into the relationship due to the fear of him coming to my house and doing some things I cannot say on Twitch or your stream, but let's just say unholy things.
Yes.
In both sexual and abuse ways.
Yeah.
For the next couple of months, I had been used for ERP, and in context with his groups, I was able not to be with my friends most often, and I was young and scared and couldn't really tell my parents, nor was I in a good relationship with them, so it wasn't the best idea to do so, nor did I want my VR being taken away, so there's also that fear. Luckily, after a couple months, he found a different boy who lived near. I also forgot to mention, he said his age was 15 years old. He was actually an 18-year-old.
Oh.
He was a pedophile. That I did not realize till after the argument. So there also goes into that factor. And he's a more taller, bigger man. He is a little special, to put it nicely. So it was a very hell course, but after a couple months of the torture, he managed to find another boy who lived closer to him, so he went with him, and I was able to escape. And it wasn't actually until this summer that he contacted me again, and with all the experience and stuff I know now, I simply blocked him and haven't talked to him since. That was the worst experience. The best experience, yeah. So the best experience, again, had to been probably the first couple of days I've been on VRCHAT. This was when I was just 13 years old, roughly. I was very fresh and new to gaming and VR, and I had pretty much explored VRCHAT in an obnoxious little kid way. Went around worlds, did screaming, try to get attention, the basic. After about a week of that just happening, I ended up just not caring about it anymore. Found myself an avatar that was kind of like a submissive boy look with the animal traits like ears and tail. I then went to a furry world, actually, with one person in it, and managed to get my first ever boyfriend the same night. We had then dated for a couple of months, and then we broke up due to some drama. But during those first couple of months, he really opened up to my experience to the fandom, and also to the experience of just my sexuality in VRCHAT. And if it wasn't really for him, I wouldn't really be exploring this area of VRCHAT and the fandom itself. I had met two previous people that were non-furries, but they had also introduced me to the fandom as well, and other friends I still have today.
So obviously that was the last question. So this is the part where you can give your a single nugget of advice, advertise, whatever you so choose.
All right, thank you. Well, for the video and also for the people watching the stream right now, if any of you are ever curious in getting on VRCHAT, or simply just getting on Discord and doing some paperwork, getting on, doing some milsim work, there is an opportunity right for you. Everyone is welcome, obviously the exceptions of pedophiles, zoophiles, communists, Nazis, the bad stuff per se.
Oh, my headset died.
So...
Aw, damn it. It's okay, go ahead and finish. I'll just be idle. It's fine, just go ahead and finish.
If you're ever curious in joining a welcoming all fandom, come join the Werabun. We are normally recruiting in the Black Cat world, or you can find us through via link that I will somehow manage to give the link to one of these wonderful people, girls here, right?
I'm gender fluid, so you can call me whatever you want. It's fine.
I'm
Okay.
gender non-conforming, but I identify as male.
Okay, good. Just making sure. I will somehow give a link to both of these girls, and you can go take a look at the Discord link there. Otherwise, you can always search up our name, WEHRBUND. Again, WEHRBUND. WEHRBUND. We're Bun. Search us up for the web. Discord link. We offer many things with departments into a milsim world. We offer a department where you can make avatars and creation worlds and get money within to it. Other than that, it is a very opening, welcome, good milsim group. It is well managed. We do have rules and ideals, but if you follow those, we do offer many fun activities and such. But please come join us. We are always welcoming new members, and thank you again.
So, first question is obviously if you're a furry or a non-furry.
I am a furry. I've been a furry for over 4 years now.
Okay. So, I will say the furry questions are a tad longer than the non-furry ones, so that's totally fine. I just want you to be aware in case you do need to do anything in between. That is totally fine.
Alright.
Obviously, I just need, like, verbal consent that you are fine being interviewed on Twitch and then later being uploaded onto YouTube.
That's perfectly fine with me.
Alrighty. And okay, so we'll begin with the general questions. So how
Okay.
old are you? You can.
I am 19 years old.
Okay. I probably should have stated you can also be as vague as you want to. You don't have to be like super direct.
Oh, sure.
But
Sure.
and what are your pronouns?
My pronouns are he, him.
Okay, he, him. Gotcha. What led you to becoming a furry, and also how long have you been a furry?
Well, let's start off with what I became furry. Technically, it was, to be honest, it was back in 2017 to a little bit until 2019 and 2020. I saw videos of furries and I was like, oh, that's cool, but I was like, nah, I was not really a fan of it at first. I was like, oh, that's something different that I'm not really fond of. I'm just gonna, pass it. Then 2020 came around and I was like, you know what? Let me put more, dive in, see little communities and, dig my toes in there. And of course, I had my good friend Patrick at the time. He introduced me to his friends that were furries, and they kind of gave me the little vision that I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I like this. Like, I want to join. How do I join? And of course, they brought me to, at first it was like cons and like, other things like that. And then I found VRCHAT in 2021. Actually, not 21, 2020.
Okay.
Around when the Oculus,
Yeah.
I
gotcha.
And I guess, what was your other question? Totally forgot.
How long have you been a furry?
Oh, for furry, about 4 years. I've
Okay.
been a furry for 4 years.
Okay. Alright, that's fair. I've gotten like numerous different answers with that actually, so that's perfectly understandable. Let's see.
Yeah.
So do you have a fursona, and if so, what species?
Oh, for furry, yes, of course. Mine is Mine fursona is a green coyote. It's kind of. I can actually show it to you if you're interested.
Yeah, if you want to, you can
it is a
add me on
green-
Discord.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
Yeah,
interrupt
alright.
you, but
It just no, that's perfectly fine. It's just a green coyote, little chubby guy.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
okay, fair enough. So this we're gonna come back a little bit to a bit pertaining to the pronoun question and stuff like that. So
Sure.
Obviously, it's very common knowledge that a lot of furries are LGBTQ plus and stuff like that. So, are you yourself LGBTQ plus in some way?
Yes, I am. I'm trans. I'm, female to male. I'm a trans guy.
Okay.
So yes, but for that, well, I don't know if you want more in depth of like what I think of it, but that's honestly your choice. You know.
I mean, you can go into as in depth as you personally want. Like, that is fine. I mean, you know what? Here, I do have a statistic here, and we'll go off of this. So, I did some research, and according to 4 different surveys, about 14 to 25% of the fandom report that they are, homosexual. About 37 to 52% report that they are bisexual. 28 to 51% typically report that they are heterosexual, and 3 to 8% tend to report other alternative forms of their sexuality. So, so to you, does that sound about accurate? And how does that make you feel?
Yes. Honestly, to be honest, the fandom here, I've seen for over 4 years with VRCHAT. Yes, pretty much everybody here is part of the LGBTQ, whatever. Yeah. I've seen a few straight furries, here and there, great people. I think they're the most genuine, good people I've seen of, whatever. But some of the community, especially on here, Furry Fandom, they could be very chaotic.
Yeah.
But I feel like the accuracy is very accurate, so yeah.
Yeah. So, on to the next question. Are you yourself active in the furry fandom, or do you personally just not like to involve yourself with the fandom itself?
I'm kind of mixed with it. I would love to, like, put myself out there, like, oh, hey, stuff like that, but I wouldn't say, like, push it on other people. Sometimes when there's, like, activities like that, I feel like a lot of the furry fandom is pushing it for more people. Like, it's good for new people to know what it is, but also I'm like kind of like, not really. I'm not like how do you call it? I don't go to, conventions or like stuff like that. Maybe like I've been to like at least like 1 or 2, but I don't really put myself out there, I guess. I'm more of a private type of guy.
Yeah, that's completely fair.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a little sidetracked on what question was what, because I thought I scrolled up fully and I didn't. So, I'm sure, as you know, furries are obviously very creative individuals. You see a lot of artists, and in VRCHAT you see a lot of avatar creators and world creators. Are you yourself any type of creative people, or any other unmentioned creator types?
Yes, I am actually a furry content creator. I post content, and I did textures for a couple of my friends, and pretty much I guess, yeah, I am, I guess, in part of the, I guess, artist way with textures. I'm good at texturing, avatars and stuff like that. But yeah, but yeah.
Okay, that is fair. So, with you being a creator, is the avatar you're currently wearing a custom or a public one?
Oh, this is a public one. I just found it one day and I was like, hey,
okay.
I enjoy it.
Okay, that's fair. It's always good to wear other people's creations. I personally like wearing what I create, like the Houndoom that me and my friend are wearing. This is one that I did recently. So I definitely like swapping to other people's creations, because there's some really nice, avatars out there. Furries are pretty damn creative, if I do say so myself.
Oh yeah, very.
So another question is, and you can also go into more depth at the end, because that's where we would normally do our, advertisements and stuff like that. But for video's sake, as a creator, do you take commissions or anything like that?
I don't. I mostly do commissions for only my friends because I'm not. I guess I'm not really open to the idea quite yet. Only for friends. Like I did some for this guy here and others. But
the other friend waved their hand over there. I saw. Somebody was waving their hand over there. Yeah, they were waving their hands. But yeah, okay. Alright. That's fair. Some people aren't, some people are. It's always just a good idea to ask in a general sense. Yeah. So, with continuing on with the creative side of the fandom, I assume that you are very well aware that a lot of worlds and avatars within VRCHAT of itself are created by furries. Even avatars, ones what people do not think were created by furries, like, you know, human avatars and whatnot, tend to be created by furries.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. I met, especially, like recently the other night, I met someone that made like a full-on, like, let's say, I guess, easier word for everybody to know, like a typical like e-girl.
Yeah.
Very, very pretty, very good, and it was made by a furry. I was like, oh, I tell them like, you did an amazing job, and they're like, hey, I also do furry work too. I'm like, oh, hey.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it is very true. The worlds and other things like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know the black cat was created by a furry as well, which unfortunately how that turned out with how of a troll central it is, but it is a very lovely world despite that. And it's so funny when I tell people that, because they always get so baffled. I was like, yeah, I mean, it's called the black cat. I think that would have been a slight indication, perhaps. But, who knows? So, another avatar question is, so you know, obviously, the human avatars, the ones with, like, fur, like, the little ears and tails, and sometimes they have, like, the additional legs and hands that are typically spliced from furry avatars. Do you feel that those can be considered furry avatars, or do you feel they're borderline or their own separate thing?
I honestly feel it depends on the person, I guess. I guess if someone's like, oh yeah, like I'm kind of half, or like they're like, well, I don't think so. For me personally, I feel like it's in the middle between a hybrid between an animal and a human. So it's like kind of both in the middle to me personally.
So kind of on the borderline aspect. It depends on who you talk to, essentially. Yeah, that's
exactly.
Fair. So this next question is going to dive into kind of like an outside of VR type thing a little bit, but with being a furry, do you yourself own a fursuit or not?
I actually do own a fur head.
Okay.
It's getting repaired. It's like I said, my fursona was a green hyena, so it's kind of getting, you know, sent back for repairs because unfortunately when it delivered, you know, kind of a few things fell off and I wasn't very, you know, happy about it.
Yeah.
So they were gladly saying, you know what, send it back, I'll help.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That was nice of them at least. Some people won't do that, weirdly enough.
Oh yeah.
But I myself actually have a fursuit that I'm currently repairing, which is my personal one. He's a resin-based skull dog, and he's finally taking his toll, to say the least. Yeah. Which, if you know anything about them, their teeth always go first. It is awful. I don't want my boy to be toothless.
Yeah,
But yeah, the first incident, he fell on the floor at a convention when I was there, which was funny because I didn't even leave the hotel yet, and it wasn't even like a few-inch drop. He just rolled off of something and he just clacked right on the floor, and I picked him up and his tooth fell off, and I'm like, dog, why?
Oh no.
But it's okay. I hot glued it back into place.
Oh, there you go. Hot glue fixes everything.
Oh, it does. It holds up. So, continuing on with the real life aspect. So, have you attended any real life furry conventions? And if so, what ones? Or if you haven't, is there any that you wish to someday go to at some point in the future?
I went to a few cons, but I don't remember which cons they were.
Okay.
But I would love to. There is one in California that they're coming around this summer. So I was like, hey, me and this lovely person right here, we're planning to go to a convention. It's pretty much like a local one. It's not very big, but it's small where my town is. And I was like, hey, I know people there, and they might help me get like a few tickets or a few little badges saying hey.
Yeah.
So yeah, gonna go to that one. So you
Okay.
check it out. It's around the Merced area.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Continuing with the convention thing. So this is going to be in virtual reality of itself. So I'm sure you've heard that there are virtual reality furry conventions.
Oh yeah, very.
Okay. So have you attended
is,
any of them by chance?
I would love to, but not yet.
Okay.
When there's one popped up, I would love to go.
Okay. So I'm sure you've heard of Furality, probably.
Oh yeah. Yep, Fidelity, yep.
Yeah. That is, as far as I'm aware, that is the biggest like furry convention in VRCHAT. I've went since Aqua. I've went ever since I went to the festival and the previous convention, which was a jungle theme. I actually had a booth there because I was one of the creators, being featured in the booth area. And
Wow.
and honestly, since you mentioned you haven't went to any online ones, if any of them, go to that one. It is absolutely fantastic, and the worlds are beautiful. The work that they put in is amazing.
Oh, love to. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna go into a little bit more of the serious side of things. So this one's particularly relating to drama. In recent years, obviously drama has become a very unfortunately rampant thing within the fandom. But personal to you, do you try to stay out of that stuff, or do you hear about it and but like just kind of keep up to date? And what kind of drama have you heard or seen?
Well, for the drama for the community, I kind of seen a lot of like on YouTube or Twitter or pretty much things like is mostly a creator, being caught with unfortunately, I was right, but
Yeah.
a minor or something happening, and then sometimes I lose respect for people, and I'm like, I used to love their work, now I just put it
Yeah.
away. It's very just wowing that you admired someone and then boom, it's thrown in your face like, oh nope, they're a bad person, back away.
Yeah.
And sometimes also there's misunderstandings what people would say, like someone would trick something for someone and like, oh okay, I don't know what to believe, so I kind of back away from drama like that. I'm like not interfering with that, because for me, I like to live my life peacefully as much as possible.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, it's none of my business. Unfortunately, it is sad for the rest of the people that respected that person, but personally for me, I'm like, oh sorry, for me it's more like, not my thing, sorry, but back away.
Yeah, no, that is completely fair. That is a very fair response to that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I usually try to stay out of it, but I'm very active on Twitter, so seeing it is pretty much near daily basis, unfortunately. And a lot of the same things come up as well, but we'll kind of get into that a little bit more here shortly. So this one is going to be a pretty touchy subject and deals with the more worser ends of things. Obviously, you mentioned pedophilia, but I'm sure you know the other side of that coin that people tend to talk about.
Oh yeah.
So, obviously, the most common thing that furries get called are zoophiles, which is obviously very false.
I knew it.
So,
Very.
with it coming up fairly more often than not within the last few years, especially because of people like Sappho and one person I actually dealt with and did make a beware on my own channel, which if you want to check that out, you can. He is in jail, by the way. He got thrown in prison, thank God. But in terms of zoophilia and bestiality and stuff, as a furry, how does that make you feel that people try to, like people like that try to associate themselves into the fandom, knowing that they're not going to be accepted?
very disgusting. I actually met a few that are like, oh, it's not that bad. It's the most disgusting thing you could do as a human being. Yes, the community is just a bunch of people that like to express themselves, you know, for different animals or pretty much anything that they have their mind to it.
Yeah.
But associating with the furry community is awful, disgusting.
Yeah.
One of the most awfulest people I ever met, ever associated with. Disgusting.
Yeah.
How are you gonna sit there and say, oh yeah, you know, I touched the animal, you know, whatever. Disgusting. No.
Yeah.
Immediately, people like that should go to jail, should be shamed for it. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
They should never exist in the fandom, period.
Yeah. And it sucks because there's my dog barking. I'm sorry if you can hear him, by the way. My dad's gonna go
No,
pick up
you're
my
good.
sister, so he's barking. But I actually knew somebody who was a zoo, and I didn't realize it until he confided in me about it. And this was like a couple years back when I was like in middle school, high school, roughly, and I immediately stopped talking to him after that. So it is crazy that that stuff comes up even back then. Like people, it was more under the radar, but now it's becoming more of a surface thing. And unfortunately, normal furries, as I like to call them, get associated with those disgusting people, and it's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate. And we're gonna come back to the other side of the coin with pedophilia and minors being groomed and stuff like that. Obviously, that is a awful thing and very bad. And with your knowledge of it, how do you feel about that becoming a more common issue?
Well, thank you for bringing that up because I have a lot to say about it.
Of course.
Pretty much the community I've seen, there'll be literally a 30-something-year-old with a 15-year-old saying, "Oh yeah, this is my boyfriend," whatever, and I'm like, "What? No." So I confront, you know, someone like, "Hey, that's wrong. What are you doing?" He's like, "It's VRCHAT." It doesn't matter if it's VRCHAT. It's online. You're being groomed. You know, that person's being a pedophile. You know, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
You know, people like that in general are just disgusting. They have something in their head. They should go to jail for it. They'd be shamed for it. They should never live their life peacefully.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. People like that are just disgusting. They don't have any morals for themselves. They don't even have self-respect for themselves. They're like, hey, let me just find someone very young and prey on them.
Yeah.
Personally, for me, unfortunately for me, I was like that for my life.
Yeah.
Bad experience, never. I would stay, like, if any kids are watching or whatever, please stay away from people like that trying to groom you, they're like, oh, you're this, no. Back away, leave, run to the hills.
Yeah,
no.
Exactly. I will state that I've ran into people. Unfortunately, I was actually groomed as a child, so I am very adamant on helping kids not be involved in that type of stuff because I was a victim of it. So,
yeah.
Obviously, with this video, I hope that a lot of kids will obviously listen to your words and mine when it comes to that. So, I do appreciate you being more in depth with that. You were probably the most in-depth person about that, actually.
Yeah.
So I know that's on the more and not kind of almost not safe for work end of things because of what can happen in those scenarios, but we're gonna skip that part of it. We're gonna go ahead and go. We'll come to not safe for work stuff in a minute if you're comfortable with that, of course. But we're gonna discuss Therians actually. Now, not all Therians are obviously furries, but they oftentimes get grouped in with furries. So, what are your personal opinions on Therians specifically?
Therians,
Yes.
Honestly, I honestly, this is the first time I ever heard of this. Honestly, personally for me.
Yeah. It is. I will say, do you know what a Therian is? Do you need like a small brief?
No. That's
okay.
why I was. Yeah, I just need a brief of like what's going on.
Okay.
Maybe I know, maybe I don't.
So Therians typically believe in some sort of manner, whether it be spiritually or in their soul, that they are an
Oh.
animal or were an animal
Mhm,
at
you're
some
right.
point. Yeah.
Mhm.
And typically they'll do things like quadrobics or something like that where they're on their fours and running similar to that of an animal.
Yes, now I know.
Yeah. So.
I actually know one, actually.
Oh, really? Okay.
Now that you refresh my memory, thank you.
Yeah, of course. No problem.
Actually, their name is Lioness, or Lion, or whatever. That they believe that they're a lion in their past life. Of course, I respect anybody.
Yeah.
It's just when they go too far, I'll, back myself away. I don't want to be, someone, but
Yeah.
um,
Which I know a
I
story of one
honestly
going too
think
far,
that,
but yeah.
yeah, me too. But I just believe that I always said, like, it's just something in our brains telling us, like, hey, this is how we should be, or it is something with people in their life that happened to them, or pretty much anything. But for your subject, I don't think so. I don't think they're anything like that. Like,
Yeah.
let's say for furries in the community, we like to express ourselves. We like to, dress up as an animal, or, be in character. That's something different between, a fairy or whatever their name is. Sorry.
No, that you're good.
Yeah, I just think that that's very separate than the community. I don't think they're furries. I think they're just something else in their own little world.
Yeah.
They're
What-
not furries in my opinion.
Which obviously Therians can also identify as furries as well, which great if they do.
Yeah.
If they don't, that's also fine.
Yep, that's totally fine.
So
But just in my opinion, I don't think so.
yeah, of course. So now we're gonna kind of dive into some not safe work topics. We'll keep it brief just for sake of guideline reasons, obviously. So
Yeah.
obviously you've heard of stuff like ERP and stuff on this game, and it's pretty common with the
Oh,
furry
yeah.
community. There's also an AD side of Twitter that's mostly furries, soft suiting, mersuiting, stuff like that. Personally for you, how do you feel about that stuff?
Oh, okay. Jumping right to the gun. Honestly, I don't really care too for it. I'm like, if people do it, cool for them. But for me, I'm more like, hey, cool.
Yeah.
But it's more of like, I'm kind of in the middle. I'm like, it's nah. But lately, a little thing. Now VRCHAT put like a little thing, like they could put an avatar for like sexual content or whatever.
Yeah.
Then that's good. I'm like, hey, that's great.
Yeah.
But for people like that, that's great for them. But for me, I'm in the middle. I'm like, hey, you do you, have fun. You know, it's your own little thing.
Yeah, like I've personally never been much of a ERP person, but I don't judge anybody who does, of course. But obviously
Exactly.
with VRChat, not even just the furry community, it's very rampant in other communities as well. ERP is just kind of like an experience of VRChat itself, which I hope that mostly adults participate in, or only adults, but we know how kids are in this game,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But even if it of itself, it's just a thing that people go through. Some people go through phases of doing that consistently, or not at all. It varies person to person. Which
Very.
obviously for the watchers who are like just seeing this and hearing these terms, just know it's naughty things. You don't look it up. I'm not responsible if you do. I'm just saying, do not look it up. It's a big no-no. Big no-no.
Yep, very big no-no.
But overall, personally, as well for me, I'm indifferent with it as well. Some things I'm like, I don't care about that, and I don't like it. But other things I'm like, okay, that's cool. You know? So,
Let they do their own little thing.
yeah. So, with some closing questions here, what is one good memory you have involving the furry fandom, and one bad memory involving the furry fandom? And this can be a personal thing or an
Ooh,
overall.
That's fun. Alright. Well, I'll say this for like a personal thing with my friends here. I remember we were just chilling in the world, and we were just goofing off, having great memories, and then there's a couple other people doing the same thing, and we kind of did like a little train thing going around, and it was just one of my favorite memories of all of us, just like, doing the same thing around and around. It was one of the best memories, to be honest.
Yeah.
And one of the bad things, oof, a lot of trolls, a lot of, like I said, pedophiles, everything. I guess one of
Yeah.
the mediocre ones, I guess would say, is a lot of people, even if you have, like let's say a public world. I went to a public world, as, a furry avatar, chilling there, meeting new people, and then someone was like, oh, you're...
Continue.
I guess to repeat myself, I guess, I was in a public world, me just chilling, talking to people. And of course, there comes the people that, are trolls or whatever. They would just call me a zoophile, a pedophile, all the names of the book. Worst experience. I had a friend with me at the time, made them cry. Of course, I care for my friends. Got up, I told them off. Of course, they said a bunch of things. It's just, I recommend for a lot of people, if you're thinking about being a furry or are a furry, stay away from public places like, the Black Cat or other places that are not very friendly often. Just hang out in the furry hideout. There will be trolls, but not as often as you think.
And most of the time they get kicked out, of course. I think we had that instance a bit ago when we first came up here. That dude who came up here being an idiot, he got kicked out. But I will say if you guys want to go to the Black Cat for whatever reason, do not have anything furry related in your bio or pictures or anything, and avoid wearing furry avatars if you'd rather just have a chill time. I find that helps immensely after being on this game for like 3 or 4 years. But so with that, any advice, closing comments, advertisements you wish to do?
I guess advice for people who are considering or thinking that they're furry. To be honest, from what I experienced, me going to the path, is that it could be weird. Yes, the fandom can be weird at times, but you can grow like friends or even consider family. Like these awesome people right here, I consider them family.
Yeah.
They are like the #1 people that you will count on. That you'll be nice people, you can be bad people. Just be aware of who you're talking to, and if they're weird, walk away or block them. Much better. And also, be safe.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Alrighty. And that does conclude the interview. I do appreciate your time.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. And like I said, if you or your friends are ever interested, you can add me on Discord. I do have a Discord where I post my streams, YouTube, all that stuff if you wish to watch it in the future. Or if you want to be interviewed for future topics, because we will be discussing a lot of different topics. Okay.
21 pilots, that's us.
Right, I'm ready. What do we do?
Okay. I will state, I don't know how Twitch is going to feel about that avatar. It's borderline for them. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be alright.
Yeah. I could probably just censor the lower half for YouTube. So, it's not naked Twitch, by the way. It's a blobfish.
Completely naked.
It's an animal. Animals can't wear clothes.
Yeah, it's an animal.
Completely naked.
Yeah, it's an animal.
It's an animal.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and adjust this slightly. There we go. Okay, so I will say this is obviously on Twitch, and it will be on YouTube later on. And if you both are fine with that, with it being in the video and stuff, just let me know now. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Confused.
I don't know.
4 seconds left.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you mind if we vape on stream?
Yeah, that's fine.
Your beanbags on. Yeah, scared you, chat.
I'll let you know when
crazy.
I'll let you know when you can start.
Got you, chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, watch out, chat.
So I think it should be fine.
Whoa. Warn me next time.
11 seconds.
Oh, we're on air in 11 seconds, okay?
Okay, wait. Is my makeup right? Is my makeup right?
Yeah, makes fine. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
And you're good to go.
Okay. Is there any specific...
Oh, B-Mag!
Is there any...
B-Mag, get in here!
Yeah, B-Mag.
Anyway, go on.
This is our friend B-Mag. You're on Twitch.
The twins.
Oh.
You're on Twitch and YouTube right now.
Yeah.
No way, guys. He just said the N-word. Welcome back to another YouTube video. Today,
You got 6.
sorry, carry on. Sorry, I get excited. Sorry.
No, you're good. I'll start from the beginning, because, yeah. So, as non-furries, a good...
Yes.
As I said, a lot of furries are LGBTQ+ in some way, shape, or form. Not all are, of course. As non-furries, how does that make you feel knowing about that information?
You know what?
You want to answer this question? No, you first. Sorry.
No, you first.
No, yes. Well, you know, here's what it is. That's what I have to say about it. You know,
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Live and let live is what I say.
Yeah.
it's a bit gay, but you know, it is what it is. You know.
Yeah, of course.
That's all it is.
So in that regards, I would say you've probably known about the furry fandom for quite some time, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm not gonna lie, my awakening to it was the Shrek movie, that dragon.
fair enough.
Oh, yeah.
All right. As individuals, how do you personally? Oh, sorry. No, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off. That's my
Oh
bad.
no, yeah. I was just gonna say, my introduction was the boy in the striped pajamas.
So, how do you, as individuals, feel about furries?
Oh yeah. Do you want us to speak honestly?
Yeah, in an honest manner. Yeah.
Like,
They scare me, to be honest with you. They're quite fucking scary. And
Beanbag had a bad experience with a furry.
Oh.
do you
I
wanna
fuck
explain
with
your
furries.
story?
I'm a changed man. I love furries.
Oh.
I love furries. Swear then, swear my life actually.
Okay.
Swear.
But yeah, no, they terrify me.
Understandable.
Ever since that situation with my
Not
uncle.
not all furries, just the reptilian ones, you know. I mean,
Yeah. Ever since that situation with my uncle, it's just scared me.
I'm not gonna lie, for the longest time I thought Five Nights at Freddy's were furries, and that, like...
I mean, it was a lot of people's furry awakening, surprisingly. Like, for a lot of, like, people who are, like, in their teens to early adults now, who grew up with it, that was their awakening. So...
But you know, like, if you gave me a flamethrower and put me, and there was a group of them there, I would pull the trigger.
Yeah, literally, your exact quote was...
Okay.
Yeah, it was just...
Like...
Yeah.
This is a true story. What somebody that I know had a wedding,
Why does
and
that
the
keep
hall that they
coming up?
booked for the wedding, and the hall over was a furry convention, so in all these wedding photos are just furries in the background.
Oh, wow.
Saying his wedding, he had to pay a Photoshopper editor to edit them all out. That's
Oh, wow.
thousands. Being
Oh,
back,
yeah,
would you?
do you know?
Mhm.
Do you know how long the rest of the interview's got to take? I got somewhere to be. That's all.
40.
Let's see. Honestly, there's only, like, a handful of questions, but some of these I can skip because they're not overly important, honestly.
Give us the juicy ones. Give us the ones that are gonna, like, you know, get our mind, you know.
views. It's gonna get you.
Yeah, get you views, so to speak, you know.
Okay.
I don't know if you know, but we're actually quite.
We want the best for
we're
you.
part of a quite famous group.
Okay.
I don't know if you heard of us. It's called We Are Anonymous. So
With avatars and worlds and stuff in VRCHAT, as you know, did you know that a good portion of them are actually created by furries?
No
can
way.
tell.
Oh wait, you
Yeah,
don't,
looking at
Spooky,
pictures.
don't you have a furry avatar?
oh yeah. You want me to whip it out?
You could.
Okay, well it's a big chubby Charizard. I think it doesn't have any not safe for work stuff on it, so you're good. It's got boobies, but there's nothing on it, so that should be fine.
Sorry,
Yeah. I think that was just called Zard or something like that. I think that's what the creator called it. Yeah, I've seen it.
You can't call them that.
I kind
Can't go
of
for anymore.
I actually have the not safe for work version
Oh, I've
of
got
that
a furry
Abby, and
outfit.
it's got everything.
Oh, can you send it to
It's
me?
got all the bits.
Yes. Yeah, send it to me.
Oh.
Oh,
Oh.
his furry outfit.
I'm not supposed to give the files out, I'm sorry.
It's
Yeah.
my
I'm
furry
not supposed
outfit.
to give the files out, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Because the
Is it just
creator
stuck in a
My furry
perpetual
outfit.
dab?
Okay, no, this is me. This is actually me. I 3D scanned myself into the VR chat.
Oh, okay.
I have a furry outfit.
Yeah, but that says that I'm not the best kisser in class. So.
Okay. So this is another avatar question, by the way. So you've seen like human avatars with like the furry like ears and tails. Sometimes they have the hands and the legs and stuff like that. Do you feel those are furry avatars, or do you feel they're like borderline? Like they're not quite there, but kind of there.
Fakes.
They're fakes.
Yeah, they're fakes. They're not.
Listen,
furry.
okay, I'm gonna say this now. Anything can classify as a furry avatar if that's your persona. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is my persona.
What is your like best interaction with a furry? Like
This one.
I probably don't want to beat up.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, to be fair, they were asking for it though.
Yeah, that was.
You were in Kent, right? He was in Kent.
I
No,
wouldn't-
he was with
I
his bird, right?
Yeah.
With his bird, and this furry came up and started like trying to spit game, and he's like, "Listen, lad, you want to finish the story? Like, you're like, listen, lad, just back off here."
Oh, I was like,
Yeah.
listen, lad, you need to step back. And then he was like, don't touch me. And I was like, you know, I'm used to box for England. And I just hit him with like a
He did.
right uppercut.
Yeah.
And I didn't. It was done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it was probably that.
All right. So, despite everything that, happened with recording this video, I've learned that I'm going to start pulling people into private worlds. Because, honestly, I had to edit out a lot of stuff. A lot of people saying the N-word or other parts. Luckily, it was spaced out enough that it wasn't hard to edit out. If there was any that I missed, there's probably music playing over top of it, at least loud enough that it's not destroying a lot of the quality of the conversations or anything like that. But yeah, overall with this video and recording or going through and going to public worlds and getting these people and talking to them, I've learned that a lot of people don't really seem to think too low of furries. Granted, I didn't get through a lot of people, but with the few that I did interact with, I was very selective about it. If I just kind of listened and like kind of picked people based on a vibe they had. This was a big deal for me because I deal with a lot of anxious tendencies. So for me, recording this was really nerve-wracking. But I'm glad I managed to get through it, to be honest, because I don't think I would be more comfortable opening up or coming out of my shell when it comes to videos like this. And again, I want to do more of these in the future. So hopefully you guys found this interesting. And if there's any topics that you guys would like to see be covered, comment below and let me know. But overall, the furry fandom is a fandom that I've been in for a considerable amount of time. I myself am a furry, as a lot of you know. I've been very open about that since the beginning of the channel. And I hope this kind of gives you guys an insight of what the fandom is actually like, or what people feel about it. Again, as a lot of people said, if you don't know something about furries, ask somebody who's in the fandom. They will give you the better answer if they're being really serious. And most furries will give you a serious answer if you tell them, hey, I'm being serious, I want an answer to this. Obviously, for the ones who were like trolling and stuff, it was just haha stuff. Most of it was edited out because some of it, if not most of it, was not okay. But yeah, nonetheless, I hope y'all enjoyed the videos, and I will see y'all next time.